when I started investing in the US markets, I was not good at all. In fact, I made a fair bit of losses, right? And at that point in time, I yeah, I just entered the US stock markets. I just bought one or two stocks, and wow, I had a very humbling experience where it taught me that, even though I have analyzed the Malaysian markets for many years, US market is a different animal altogether, right? So with that, I changed my strategy, and I wanted to have a more cautious approach. I wanted to have a relatively safe portfolio, but a portfolio can grow nonetheless. So what I've done is, in order for me to have safety, what I did was I bought ETFs, right, to help cushion any market volatilities. On top of that, I also bought maybe a couple of stocks that is to give me the alpha, right, or the quick, or the very strong gains, right. So main reason why I bought or the main reason why I like this ETF called QQQ is that QQQ actually invests or QQQ, a lot of their stocks are actually within the tech sector, right? And if you ask me, in the United States, they have companies like Google, which a lot of us maybe use if we want to search something. On top of that, when it comes to AI, there's this particular stock called Nvidia, where it seems to be championing that particular segment, right? And on top of that, we also have the traditional social media sites, which is maybe Facebook, right? And it also resides in the US, right? So all of these stocks actually reside in this particular ETF, which is called QQQ. And one of the reasons why I like ETFs, it diversifies your risk. And when you diversify your holdings, it will lower your risk, right? Sorry, what I meant to say is, if you diversify your portfolio, this will lower your risk of investment, right? So at the same time, since I'm of the opinion that the tech sector is growing, right, and US is one of the champions when it comes to the technology space, that's one of the reasons why I was looking at QQQ. And one of the best and one of the things which I've done is invest in this particular ETF called TQQQ, which in theory aims to triple the movement of QQQ. Let me give you an example. Assuming if QQQ moves up 2%, TQQQ, what it aims to do is it aims to triple the movement, which is 6%, right? So you take 2%, multiply by 3, you get 6%, right? However, that being said, if QQQ were to decline by 1%, TQQQ will decline by 3%. That is what it aims to do. That being said, in actuality, TQQQ, it does not move 3 times up or moves 3 times down. Rather, it just gives like, in actuality, I noticed like if QQQ moves up by 1%, TQQQ maybe moves up by maybe 1.5 or 2%, right? It moves in a more exaggerated manner, right? And for me, since I am quite bullish on the tech sector, I wanted to have a more exaggerated return. So that's one of the reasons why I invested in TQQQ, right? So let me just show you on a 1-year basis how TQQQ is doing, right? So over here we can see on a year-to-date basis, TQQQ rose by 65.99%, right? We can actually see the green bar, and it actually started at 46.59, and right now is 79.89. That's the first thing. And as I mentioned, part of the reasons why I prefer ETFs, it helps lower the risk. And on top of that, since it's focused on the tech sector, it will enable a growth, right? Since the earnings, since tech sector is growing, so we can also translate into earnings and also the stock price. That being said, there were a couple of stocks which I also invested. One of them is Google, and part of the reasons why I like Google is that I am an Android user. I'm quite a nerdy guy, right? And I noticed that the Android for the handphone market makes a very big market, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is that in terms of search, I noticed that Google is one of the more dominant player when it comes to search. So what I like about this particular stock, it offers two things. And if you guys have been following me, you'll notice that I like big cap stocks, right? Big cap stocks means it is safer. On top of that, since Google is I guess the usage of the search engine or the usage of Android phones, right, seems to be increasing over time. For me, that's also in terms of earnings, the earnings has been growing. So it has two criterias which I really like. Number one, it is a big cap, and number two, it's also growing, right? As a as they are in the tech space, lah, right? The second stock which I bought is Nvidia. Let me just scroll back. Right. So Nvidia, on a year-to-date basis, right, it rose by about quite high, like triple digits, and you can see the stock actually moving up quite significantly. Not much dips, right, for Nvidia. So I think part of the reasons why I like Nvidia is that number one, it is involved in the AI sector. And to be very honest, AI is already in a lot of corporate spaces. I noticed that right now a lot of juniors are using AI to write their emails, to do spell check, right? To check whether the grammar is correct, right? So and more, I can see that even the chats or the customer service can be automated. So AI is actually impacting us in a very very big way, and Nvidia is one of the players. And truth be told, when I first looked at Nvidia, the first question which came up into my head was, this stock seems quite expensive. If you notice, it's been going up, going up, going up, going up. So at every point when you buy, right, it's always the most expensive price. Is more the most expensive point. Or if you buy at this level, it's the most expensive point. Or you buy at that level, it's the most expensive point. So no matter what point you touch Nvidia, it seems pretty expensive. And when I first bought it, I had a friend which is a technical analyst. First question he asked me is, don't you think is too high, or don't you feel like macam afraid of the heights, right? The Malay word for it is gayat. Don't you feel gayat, right? And for me, honestly, when he asked me that question, doubts actually came into my mind. But what I've done was I reminded myself AI is one of the growing sectors, and I decided to invest in Nvidia, right? The third stock which I invested, the single stock, is this particular stock. Let me just move here. Right, it's Google. It's Grab. You can see Grab year to date rose by 51.56%. It rose quite significantly, especially the past couple of months. It rose, right? So I think this is one of my better returns, right? And for me, why I like Grab is that I am Malaysian, right? And I still remember during the MCO, when the whole country was at lockdown, in Malaysia at least, right? Grab actually gave employment to a lot of riders, right? And it enabled it enabled people to buy food. At that point in time, the whole country, we couldn't go out our houses. So when we couldn't go out from the houses, we were pretty much locked in. And one of the things that we had to do was actually to buy food, right? Or we needed to maybe get someone to help us buy food from outside. And Grab was one of these services which I guess, offered, right? Or one of the companies which offered this services. And for me, I thought that that was a very smart business plan, right? So when the whole country was almost at lockdown, Grab gave a solution for that particular time period, right? And I remembered I actually got into Grab relatively early, right? So to see it move like that is quite cool, lah. But that being said, a couple of things which I'm noticing about this particular e-hailing model. Number one, Grab right now, should the prices go up for Grab fares, right? I notice as a Malaysian, more and more people, they have very little brand loyalty, so they will switch from Grab to another e-hailing service, right? And it's so easy for people to switch, right? There is less stickiness or less brand loyalty, right? So that in itself, I noticed, wow, this is maybe not the best trend for them, right? The second thing which I noticed is, even though Grab has the banking services, but alongside with Grab, there are also other banking players or other digital banks opening in Malaysia also. So there are many choices. So if I notice that if there is less stickiness, right, what will happen is that they don't have the competitiveness, right? And when they don't have competitiveness, it's difficult, right, to compete. So, all in all, I'm going to say a couple of things. Number one, yes, it's a very scary time, right? To invest, and I also will have to admit, yes, there were geopolitical risk, right? And yes, for me to even invest at that point in time was very scary. It was very scary. I had, I had many doubts every time when I started putting in more and more of my money in the equity markets, right? Especially a couple of months back. Don't know what will happen to the world, right? But that being said, I truly believe that, as long as there are innovative companies, and as long as there are companies resilient enough, and as long as they are helping solve problems, there's no reason why not to invest in this particular company, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is, how do we even take the first step, right? I have many students, and if you're one of them, right, I have many people come up to me and says they want to invest, but they just are too nervous, right? They're just too nervous to invest, and rightfully so, right? You see all this bad news, right? And you notice media is very skewed towards negative news, right? So for that, I think I always have this particular philosophy. And if you look at my YouTube channel and how I built my YouTube channel, I always believe in the philosophy of taking small steps, right? Even for my long form videos, right? Before this, I used to spend hours and hours trying to come up with the ideas, trying to come up with a smart joke, On top of that, I came up with all these B-rolls and all these subtitles in the bottom, I wanted to make things so complicated. And truth be told, my videos, it only, one video would come out after 2 or 3 months, right? And I told myself just to keep things simple and to take small steps. And that's one of the reasons why you notice a lot of my videos right now, they tend to be live videos. If I make a mistake, so be it. That is my live video already, right? Don't think too much, right? So for me, my philosophy is, if I am nervous, if I'm afraid, if I, but I want to take the first step, what I do is I make it simple, right? Don't complicate things. Just like this video, make it simple. Like I said, you can see me going back and forth. It's not the most polished, but I want the message to go out there, right? So number one, if you want to invest, keep it simple, right? Say, okay, maybe if you want to start, and you don't know what stocks to buy, maybe look at ETFs, right? That's the first step. Second step is make it small steps, right? If you cannot put in 100 ringgit, put in 50 ringgit. If you cannot put in 50 ringgit, put in 10 ringgit, right? So for me, that's what I've been doing. If you notice, a lot of my portfolios, I put very small amounts, very very small amounts, right? And every time when it goes up, it really annoys me. I'm like, alamak, I should have put in more money, right? But it is what it is. I'm also trying to be brave, to invest more money, right? And just like this channel, you can tell that I'm trying to be more brave and give you the most honest, the most transparent, the most yeah. So you can see that I talk about my struggles, I talk about my gains, I talk about my losses. I everything is very transparent, right? It's really nothing to hide, lah, right? So keep things simple and take the small step, right? So those are my two advice, lah, if you want to start investing from today, right? Is there any questions before I end? All right. I don't see that many questions. Yes, and if you notice, my lives is at very different times. Sometimes I have it at night, sometimes I have it in the day, sometimes I have it before lunch, sometimes I have it during the afternoon. So it always changes, right? It's something which even I know I have to improve, but I keep telling myself the best thing is just start horrible, right? Just start horrible, make a bunch of mistakes, and then from making horrible, bad videos, and then you just improve from then on. Same like investing. You make losses for your first few portfolio. Once you start making losses, and then you start learning, and then when you start learning, and then you get better, and when you get better, you get more returns, right? And honestly, even when I first started investing, I lost a lot, right? I lost a lot. I did not know why until I started getting a teacher. And after getting a teacher, that's where things really changed for me, right? So for you today, if you are afraid to even take the first few steps, right? I would maybe suggest watching videos to help you understand the markets even some more, right? And if you're wondering which creator, I always get that, which creator should they follow, right? Let me give you I guess a shameless plug lah. Maybe me, right? You can actually I guess follow me in my overall journey, right? And if you have any questions, please do ask on the comments, right? If you notice, sometimes some of your comments I make it into video, right? So with that, I'd like to say stay invested, right? First thing. Second thing, yes, I know it's a very, very, very scary time out there, right? And most times when I create these challenges, right? I'll tell you honestly, when I started creating a more transparent challenge for myself on investing in Bursa Malaysia, and I did it 2-3 months ago, I was nervous. As an analyst, I'm more of an introvert, right? I don't like being so out there. And just imagine me showing what I'm investing in. It was really, really scary, right? But that being said, I kept telling myself, always reminding myself, why am I doing this in the first place? The whole thing of it all is I want to help you guys, right? And if you want to start, right, and you find it difficult, maybe ask yourself, why is it important for you, right? And that will give you the strong reasons, will help you push away all of the I guess inaction or not taking action lah, basically, right? So always remember, take the small steps, keep it simple, and always remember your reasons why you invested lah.